क्रिवाइसिस ओपन हो जाती है, तो क्रिवाइस अगर ओपन हो रही है तो देयर आर चांसेस ऑफ यू फॉलिंग डाउन इनटू इट, तो देन वी हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी कॉशियस. तो रोप अप होके चलना है, बेसिक
Have you seen anyone falling in that?
I myself
Oh, okay.
I myself have
What
followed.
happened exactly?
It was very very funny incidents. I don't know, I did not ask too many questions. I do not even wanted to get into that mode कि मैं बहुत एम्पैथेटिक हो जाऊँ, सिम्पैथेटिक हो जाऊँ. I do not wanted to do that. Just on the humanitarian note, I feel कि चलो ठीक है, I can at least I can give some chocolate bars and some Maggie and some थोड़े juice के packets वगैरह जो थे एक्स्ट्रा के मेरे पास. I just went ahead and I just kept them and I came back. और उस एंगल से जो गिरती है उसकी किरणें वगैरह सब तरफ, एंड देर आर सो मैनी थिंग्स, स्नो, देन देर आर हाइट्स, देन यू गेट टू सी ठंड. हवा नहीं होती है उस वक्त, रात के वक्त एकदम बिल्कुल कोई हवा नहीं होती है. इट्स वेरी वेरी silent, very silent, and you're walking and it's just the sound of that snow which is getting pressed below your shoes, and that's it.
नमस्ते, जय हिंद. मेरा नाम है जय और ये है द अवारा मुसाफिर शो, एक ऐसा पॉडकास्ट जहां हम बात करते हैं भारत के पास्ट, प्रेजेंट और फ्यूचर की. इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एपिसोड आई एम टॉकिंग विद मेजर आदित्य देशमुख. मेजर आदित्य देशमुख joined the Indian Army on 17 September 2011. He was commissioned into the 5th Battalion of Mahar Regiment. His first posting was in Sikkim and the Northeast region. From there to Jammu and Kashmir, and then the highest and the coldest battlefield on earth, the Siachen Glacier. If you listen to this episode till the end, you'll get a great perspective about the Indian Army and their life at the Siachen Glacier. मेजर आदित्य देशमुख सर, वेलकम ऑन द शो. मुझे स्टार्ट करना था जय हिंद बोल के, बट वी हैड अ कॉन्वर्जेशन बिफोर द पॉडकास्ट एंड यू वर लाइक कि द life you have spent in army, it's different. The civilian life, it's different.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I think so Jai Hind to is normal. So Jai Hind sir.
Jai
Yeah.
Hind.
So sir, कैसे हैं आप?
I'm good. I'm really really very nice, and it's a good feeling that I'm being with you over here in the podcast now. My very first podcast, as a matter of fact, and really really thankful for you
Yeah.
to give me this opportunity and this platform to express myself.
नहीं सर, ये आपकी स्टोरीज बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है. एंड हमने ऑफ द कैमरा काफ़ी सारी बात की, उसमें से कुछ चीज़ें हम शायद ऑन कैमरा नहीं बात कर सकते, बट स्टिल तो स्टार्ट करने के लिए यू हैव सर्व्ड इन द हाईएस्ट जो जोन होता है, विच इज़ द सियाचिन ग्लेशियर वाला जो जोन है वहाँ. देन जम्मू कश्मीर, राजस्थान में यू हैव सर्व्ड इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट. आउट ऑफ ऑल ऑफ दीज पोस्टिंग्स मुझे सबसे पहले जानना है कि सबसे पेक्यूलियरली इंटरेस्टिंग कौन सा वाला पार्ट था?
Most of it, I would say, when I got commissioned, I first went to Sikkim. मेरी पहली पोस्टिंग सिक्किम में थी, ईस्ट सिक्किम में. You might have heard about Nathula. So near that, I was there posted. My very first posting was there for almost two years, 2.5 years. उसके बाद में I went to राजस्थान. गंगानगर नाम की एक जगह है, तो वहाँ पे it was a peace posting. तो वहाँ पे मैं था. उसके बाद में again went to J&K. J&K से फिर गया सियाचिन. It's part of the same state, but the terrain varies a lot. I was in Poonch Rajouri sector. उसके बाद में मैं सियाचिन गया. सियाचिन के बाद में my last posting was in Pune for 1.5 years. But peculiarly, of course, without any doubt, Siachen.
Yeah.
Because you get to learn, you get to know the limits of your body. You get to know your professional limits and how much you can achieve in one single posting of yours. So many things you get to learn, so many things you get spiritually awakened, I would say, to a larger extent.
Okay.
And you also get philosophically awakened.
बिकॉज
कि
इतना अलोन टाइम आप वहाँ स्पेंड कर रहे हैं.
it's not only alone time. We people would have heard a lot of times ना बचपन से कि हिमालय में जाना है, हिमालय में जाना है, there is
Himalayan
something,
yogis.
Himalayan yogis and all. So वहाँ पे काम definitely we are there for professional thing to do, which we are duty bound to do that. But other than that, whenever we have this time, the might of Himalayas and the might of the glacier itself, it वो हवा में है वहाँ के spirituality, the kind of philosophical, you come down with so many things after that. Your mind is filled with lot of things, lot of reality things, real things. At the same time, you get into a different zone altogether. That वहाँ की हवा है, yeah, the heights, the Himalayan might. I'm repeating myself, but then yeah, that's
Okay.
how it is. But yes, definitely, Siachen was something which has taught me a lot. It has changed me as a human being. It has changed me as an individual. It has changed me as a leader, as an officer, as someone, as a son, and so many things I've learned over there. और हर एक चीज़ फिर आपको आप दूसरे नज़रिए से देखते हो, आपके हर एक चीज़ की अहमियत बढ़ जाती है आपकी लाइफ में.
शायद द ट्रू कॉस्ट ऑफ एवरी ब्रेथ वो
Yeah.
आपको वहां पे रियलाइज होती
Exactly,
है.
exactly. And true cost of every relation, true cost of good food at home, and true cost of good weather where you are coming from, true cost of oxygen, which you generally tend to take for granted, true cost of trees, which you don't get to see over there, true cost of greenery, which you don't get to see there. So many things.
या सर, आपने सांगली में काफ़ी फ्लड रिलीफ वाले ऑपरेशंस भी किए, तो
Right.
आई वुड वांट टू टॉक अबाउट दैट, बट पहले बिकॉज हम ग्लेशियर वाले ये सब्जेक्ट पे है, तो इसको थोड़ा एक्सपैंड करते हैं फॉर द नॉर्मल मासेस, क्योंकि सिविलियंस को बहुत सी बार पता नहीं होता. आई डोंट नो, उसके पीछे शायद कुछ आर्मी के अपने रीजंस हो सकते हैं, बट जितना भी आप बता सको इन दोज एस्पेक्ट्स, ग्लेशियर आपने जैसे हमें ऑफ द कैमरा बताया था कि 5 ग्लेशियर्स है, तो वो एक ज्योग्राफी आप एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हो ताकि लोगों को एक बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो ऑफ सियाचिन.
Siachen, basically, it's a glacier which is distributed into 5 sectors for the ease of occupying it, or for the ease of understanding of the ease of distribution of that area. It's basically northern glacier is there, central glacier, southern glacier, western glacier, and then there is western sector, and then there is Hanif enclave. It is distributed into these 5 sectors, and heights vary from 22,000 feet to the base camp is at 12,500 feet. So height varies in this, and there are so many. The majorly it is occupied by Central Glacier and the Northern Glacier. The major heights are there in the Northern Glacier and the Central Glacier. So the main Siachen Glacier, which flows, comes from the northern side. Then there are a lot of other glaciers as well, which in fact they combine and then they form Siachen Glacier. There is Yongla Glacier, there is Yongla Glacier, there are various glaciers which combine to make this Siachen Glacier a glacier, and then it gets converted into Nubra River, which starts at the snout of the Siachen Glacier. So this is the basic geographical aspect of it. Besides that, when we go there, it's not that we suddenly have moved and then we are inducted. It's nothing like that. Any unit, any infantry battalion which comes over there serves there for in the nearby areas for 6 months, 8 months. Then our basic हमारा training होता है वहाँ पे Siachen Battle School में, which is very very tough. I cannot give you the intricacies of the training though, but it is very very tough. And after that particular duration, then we get inducted. The main intention of the training is to enhance the breathing capacity of our lungs, enhance our endurance, and our blood gets adjusted accordingly. Because if you know the basic biology of human body, hemoglobin is something which carries the oxygen to the various parts of our body, and it is integrated part of the blood. So, and for that, hemoglobin is nothing but it's the iron. एंड if लेमन्स लैंग्वेज में अगर समझाने जाऊँ, तो जब जैसे हम कोई ट्रांसपोर्ट होते हैं, ट्रांसपोर्ट में देर आर ट्रक्स, इट्स अ व्हीकल. So there are a lot of vehicles which are required to provide that. So it goes to each and every part of our body,
Right.
Oxygen, and then hemoglobin carries it basically. So what happens is वहाँ पे you have to have more hemoglobin in your blood in order to provide that oxygen. Oxygen मिल ही कम रहा है,
Right.
और जितना भी मिल रहा है तो वो कैरी करने automatically your blood starts accumulating more of hemoglobin into it. So sometimes your hemoglobin rates they move up to 17, 18, जो normally 14 होता है. So sometimes it moves to 18, किसी का 19, 20 तक चले जाता है. I happen to have got till 18, 19 तक मेरा खुद का चला गया था after the induction when I checked. But there are remedies to it that they ask us to eat a lot of garlic.
Okay.
Garlic से आपका खून पतला रहता है, and drink lots and lots of water. You don't feel thirsty over there. No matter
Exactly, yes.
how tired you get, but you don't feel thirsty. You have to deliberately make sure that you are drinking at least 5 to 6 liters of water every day. So these are basic things which we have to follow. There are a lot of medical cautions which we need to adhere to. Lot of things. So I feel that that itself becomes very very tough. The preparation part of it also only becomes very very tough. And then once we go over there, there are different challenges. The terrain keeps on changing. And
Keeps on changing,
keeps
matlab?
on changing in the sense, initially you will see the lot of rocks, then eventually you come across glacier. Then once you cross the glacier, there are mountains. Then from mountains where the glacier is originating, there are a lot of snow walls. You have to climb those snow walls. You have to move up. There are ice walls, very very hardened ice walls. You have to climb those, then move, and then reach your certain posts. वहाँ पे रह के then there are forward posts which are at the heights of 19,000, 19,500, 2,000. तो इतने हाइट तक आपका, then you being commander or being the officer posted in those posts, you are basically responsible for an entire complex as such. Then you have to manage the logistical aspect of it, which is a major challenge. Weather and managing logistics in that weather is a major challenge.
Right.
Like most of the posts are air maintained. So once we receive
So you
that,
have to expand this air maintained as in
या एयर मेंटेन इन द सेंस कि एनी राशंस विच आर कमिंग इन, हमारा खाना जो आता है, फ्यूल आता है, जो कुछ डेली नेसेसिटी की जो चीज़ें आती है, वो हमें बेस कैंप से आती है बाय हेलीकॉप्टर. एंड दैन इट इज़ ड्रॉप्ड ओवर देयर. इधर इट इज़ ड्रॉप्ड बाय द बिगर हेलीकॉप्टर, और लैंड करके जहाँ जहाँ पे हमारे हेलीपैड्स बने हुए वहाँ पे वो लैंड करके हम वो निकाल लेते हैं हमारी राशन वगैरह जितना है. और फिर उसको मैनेज करना, फॉरवर्ड पोस्ट में भेजना, जहाँ जहाँ आपके पोस्ट है. इट इज़ एंटायरली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ दैट कॉम्प्लेक्स कमांडर. एंड फिर उसके बाद में वो लॉजिस्टिक्स मेंटेन रखना, क्योंकि आप सिर्फ 4 महीने या जितने 3 या 4 महीने वहाँ पे रहने वाले हो, आने वाले जो लोग हैं उसके बाद में उनके लिए भी वो लॉजिस्टिक्स उतनी मात्रा में आपको फुलफिल करने पड़ते हैं. तो वो वहाँ पे रखना, उसका मैनेजमेंट करना. और ऐसे वेदर में जहाँ पे आपको टाइम विंडो बहुत कम मिलता है, वहाँ पे पलक झपकते ही वेदर चेंज हो जाता है. अभी स्नोफॉल हो रहा है, अभी इमिडिएटली धूप निकल जाएगी. सुबह के वक्त वहाँ पे एवेलेंचेस आ जाएंगे. एवेलेंचेस आने के बाद फिर कभी कभी बहुत ज़्यादा हीट बढ़ने के बाद क्रिवाइसेस फटेंगे. सो मैनी चैलेंजेस विच आर हैपनिंग ऑन अ डेली बेसिस. सो यू हैव टू सम हाउ मेक अ पैटर्न ऑफ इट. पैटर्न कभी द एनालिटिक्स ऑफ दैट पैटर्न, समटाइम्स इट इज़ सक्सेसफुल एंड समटाइम्स इट इज़ नॉट, बिकॉज वेदर इज़ अनप्रेडिक्टेबल. तो आपको जो टाइम विंडो मिलता है, थोड़ा बहुत भी क्लियर विंडो मिल गया, तो योर चॉपर्स कम इन, दे गिव यू द राशंस, दे मूव बैक. देन समटाइम्स 8 दिनों के बाद जब उनकी ये प्लान होती है, फ्लाइट प्लान होती है, तो वी हैव टू गिव देम एम्पल अमाउंट ऑफ योर रिक्वायरमेंट्स. आपको क्या क्या चाहिए एंड व्हाट यू फोरसी इन द फ्यूचर, कि आपका फ्यूल ख़त्म होने वाला है, आपका जो राशन है बेसिक, चावल दाल आटा वगैरह, वो ख़त्म होने वाला है. तो यू हैव टू प्लान इट अकॉर्डिंगली, एंड ईच एंड एवरी पोस्ट का. तो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट एस्पेक्ट एज वेल. इट्स नॉट ऑलवेज अबाउट दी मोटिवेशन, इंस्पिरेशन, वो सब चीज़ें होती है, लेकिन खाना तो खाना पड़ता है. ह्यूमन नीड्स you cannot neglect them, you cannot ignore them. अगर अच्छा खाना है, if all my जवान्स आर हैविंग गुड मील्स, गुड हॉट मील्स, और वो क्योंकि उनको दिन भर काम करना है, दे हैव टू गो फॉर पेट्रोलिंग, दे हैव टू गो टू फॉरवर्ड पोस्ट फॉर द लॉजिस्टिकल फुलफिलमेंट ऑफ दैट पोस्ट. तो दिन भर उनका दिनचर्या क्या है, यू हैव टू प्लान देयर रूटीन अकॉर्डिंगली. और इट कैनॉट हैपन दैट वन पर्टिकुलर पर्सन इज वर्किंग थ्रू आउट एंड अनदर पर्सन इज नॉट, बिकॉज वहाँ पे ओवर वर्किंग इज ऑल्सो चैलेंज. इफ यू वर्क ज़्यादा, आप रेस्ट कम ले रहे हो, तो देर आर चांसेस ऑफ यू गेटिंग हैको.
And you as a commanding officer over there, you have to take care of everything.
Anything and everything in detail. Because if a particular individual you have not spoken to that individual, that person might start thinking in a different direction. So you have to every day, not every day, but once in a week, you have to visit that post, speak with that person, get interview or interact with those people, ask them what problems they are facing. You cannot keep anything in isolation.
Okay.
Everything has to be there together. You have to be very very inclusive. You have to provide them, like there are बहुत सारी वहाँ पे रेस्ट्रिक्शंस होते हैं खाना खाने के, यू कैनॉट हैव ऑयली फूड, बट जो भी खाना खा रहे हो वो अच्छा खाना चाहिए. समटाइम्स थोड़ा बहुत यू टेंड टू वेरी फ्रॉम द मेनू विच इज़ गिवन बाय द हायर अप्स, तो उतना थोड़ा बहुत एडजस्ट करना पड़ता है. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु प्रेफर टू उनके ट्रेट्स होते हैं. सम पीपल स्मोक, सम पीपल कंज्यूम टोबैको. तो you cannot do it. You just cannot afford to have any kind of these things over there,
You
because
cannot smoke over there.
we cannot. There is oxygen ही कम है in first
Right.
place, and then
बट बहुत सारे लोगों का तो ठंड से कोपिंग मैकेनिज्म ही स्मोक करना या होता है ना.
वो हो सकता है. आई एम नॉट रियली अवेयर अबाउट इट ऑनेस्टली, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट अ स्मोकर, बट या हो सकता है. बहुत
But
सारों
then
को ये भी
lung
होता है
की
कि ओल्ड
capacity.
मॉन्क चाहिए, रम चाहिए या ब्रांडी चाहिए, टू कोप विद द ठंड. बट वो ठंड वो वाली ठंड नहीं है जो आप समझ रहे हो. आप वो नॉर्मल हिमाचल में आप
हिमाचल
जाते
वाली
हो,
ठंड,
हिल
हाँ.
स्टेशन पे जा रहे हो, वो वाली ठंड नहीं है. इट इज़ अ डिफरेंट. वहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन भी नहीं है. वहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन नहीं है, वहाँ पे प्रेशर बहुत कम है, वहाँ पे ठंड बहुत ज़्यादा है. दी you actually get to see the anomalous behavior of weather at that altitude.
विंड स्पीड भी बहुत
Wind
ज़्यादा है.
speed at times it is 180. So that is also, then there is something called as wind chill factor, which I discussed earlier with you. So wind chill factor hota hai if the temperatures are like -20 or -15, but because of the wind chill factor it may drop down to 30, -30, -40 at times, and basically it's because of the wind chill factor. And sometimes it may drop down to 70, -70 as well.
Yeah.
So and then there are challenges like when we are going on a patrol, and if we are going in a logistical chain and fulfilling the ration requirements of the forward units, sometimes it might happen that दिन के वक्त अगर आप जा रहे हो तो there might be suddenly a crevice which is opened up and you are not aware.
What is a crevice?
Crevice is something, it is the the cracks which are formed in a glacier.
Okay.
Because of various reasons, because of the variation in the temperature, because of the movement which is earthquakes, or any reason. There might be a number of reasons, because that is a glacier is something like it's continuously flowing in a direction. So it's thousands and thousands of years of snow which is accumulated and turned into ice, which is continuously moving in a direction. So in that movement, what happens is over a period of time, the snow tends to melt, and because of the variation in the temperature, which is very very common of lately because of the so-called global warming as such, so suddenly crevices are opened up and there are huge noises. बहुत बड़ा आवाज़ आता है. कभी कभी लगता है कि द समथिंग फ्रॉम द एडवर्सरी साइड. किसी ने somebody must have started firing, और उस टाइप का आवाज़ भी आता है. बट इट इज़ बेसिकली दी वो फटने का आवाज़ होता है क्रिवाइस का, बिकॉज द व्हेन द स्नो इज सेपरेटेड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स.
Yes, I'm guessing loud booming.
Yeah,
sound.
exactly. These kind of voices which come, noises which come. So crevices open हो जाती है. तो crevice अगर open हो रही है तो there are obviously there are chances of you falling down into it. तो then you have to be very very cautious. तो rope up होके चलना है. Basic.
Have you seen anyone falling in that?
I myself.
Oh, okay.
I myself have
What
fallen.
happened exactly?
It was very very funny incidents. We were going, and actually we plan during night hours. रात के 2 या 3 बजे से लेके सुबह के 7, 7:30, 8 बजे तक का टाइम विंडो होता है, जहाँ पे जनरली एवेलेंजेस डू नॉट कम, बिकॉज टेम्परेचर वेरी नहीं होता है. टेम्परेचर इज नॉर्मल. विंड ज़्यादा फ्लो नहीं होती है, विंड चिल फैक्टर भी नहीं होता इतना. तो टेम्परेचर दो इट इज़ इन माइनस, बट स्टिल वो बेरेबल बिकॉज ऑफ द गेयर विच यू वेयर. एंड जनरली द क्लाइमेट इज जनरली नॉर्मल उस वक्त, और क्रिवाइसिस वगैरह फटने का भी कोई डर नहीं होता है. What happened that particular day was we were little late because of a particular reason in taking our logistics side, and I used to make sure every alternate day either JCO goes or I myself go. So every alternate day मेरा नंबर आता था, तो I used to go along with the entire chain of it. तो हमारी जो टीम जाती थी आगे, तो हम रोप अप होके जाते थे. रोप अप इन द सेंस कि आई एम टाइड विथ रोप, एंड मेरे आगे और पीछे के ऑल 3. जनरली हम 11 लोग अगर चल रहे हैं तो 11 के 11 लोग रोप अप होके जाएंगे. तो कोई गिरता भी है क्रिवाइस में तो सामने या पीछे वाला उसको खींच लेगा, या इंटायर थिंग वी डू नॉट लूज कॉन्टैक्ट विद ईच अदर. इट इज टाइड टू द कैराबिना विच इज देयर ऑन आवर वेस्ट. सो वी आर बेसिकली टाइड टुगेदर एंड वी वॉक. तो what happened was that हम when we got indicted, it was month of January, and वो month महीना था मई का. तो मई या जून के स्टार्टिंग में आई इफ़ आई रिमेंबर करेक्टली, तो तब थोड़ा थोड़ा द समर्स हैव स्टार्टेड कमिंग इन, एंड थोड़ा टेम्परेचर थोड़ा बढ़ने लग जाता है उस वक्त. So there are a lot of chances of avalanches, then there are a lot of avalanches which come in, then there are a lot of crevices which जो break in. तो वहाँ पे क्रिवाइस ऑलरेडी फॉर्म हो रखी थी एंड वो काफ़ी डीप थी एंड स्नो वॉज अक्यूमुलेटेड, तो उसके ऊपर स्नो पूरा जमा हो गया था एंड मैंने पैर मेरा रखा एंड आई वेंट डाउन, आई लिटरली वेंट डाउन, ज़्यादा नहीं बट अराउंड 50-60 फीट नहीं थे, एकदम से चला गया. देर इज
50-60 फीट
50-60 फीट भी थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा होगा इफ़ आई वुड से, मेरे को तो लग रहा था, बट मस्ट नॉट हैव बीन दैट मच, मुझे आई फेल्ट दैट वे. सडनली नीचे चला गया, देयर लॉट ऑफ रूम फॉर दैट रोप ना, थोड़ा सा हम टाइट होते हैं, तो हम काफ़ी नीचे चला गया मैं. 50-60 तो नहीं बोलूँगा, अराउंड 20-30 तो गया हूँगा, ठीक है. आई वेंट डाउन एंड देन मेरे पीछे और आगे के ना देर वॉज एनसीओज एंड द अप्रोच इज वेरी वेरी काम, वेरी वेरी पेशेंट, बिकॉज वी हैव ऑलरेडी प्रैक्टिस दोज थिंग्स अर्लियर ड्यूरिंग आवर ट्रेनिंग पीरियड एंड वी आर अवेयर कि ऐसा हो सकता है. सो नो बडी वॉज पैनिक्ड एंड बट आई वॉज, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली मैं नीचे गया हूँ एंड द टेम्परेचर सडनली स्टार्ट फॉलिंग, लाइक हर 1-2 मीटर पे एक आध डिग्री का वगैरह ये आने लगता है, वेरिएशन आने लगता है. इट इज ऑल स्नो, इट इज आइस, इट इज हार्डन्ड आइस विच इज देयर एंड दो आई वॉज वेयरिंग माई स्कारपास एंड एवरीथिंग, जो शूज़ होते हैं हमें वहाँ पे जो मिलते हैं एंड वो पूरे पहने हुए थे. आई वॉज गोइंग डाउन एंड मेरा एनसीओ ऊपर से बोलता है कि साहब हो. मैं सर कि हाँ भाई खींच लो ऊपर जल्दी से. क्या साहब, मतलब भाई खींच ले. देवर लाइक साहब खींच तो लेंगे लेकिन कल का फटिंग माफ कर देना. ऑन अ वेरी लाइटर साइड दे पुल्ड मी, देवर ऑफ कोर्स देवर पुलिंग मी अप. बट वो जब आप नीचे आ रहे हो ना, सडनली विद इन दो फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड्स में ना आपको पूरा आपका लाइफ दिखने लग जाता है सामने ना. इट वाज दैट काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन. सो केम डाउन, वेंट अप. Not much of a thing which happened, but I got to actually experience that thing. And so many people have lost their lives actually because of that. And that's the reason the thing, because we learn from our mistakes. That's the reason everybody walks in the rope up होके वगैरह चलते हैं. And you actually understand the importance of it उस वक्त, because sometimes you think यार क्या rope up होके चलना है वगैरह, चलो चलते हैं ऐसे ही वगैरह. But never ever do that. Never ever neglect those things, because you may never know what will happen. Yeah, there is no room for mistakes at all. So I went down, but I was lucky that I was roped up and my NCO and my guys, they saved me. And after that we continued and it became normalcy. Means you feel that things are in place. If when you follow certain rules, then obviously it is taken care of, that nothing bad will go, nothing drastically will go wrong, because you are following the times. But yes, our mistake was we went late. We could have so you tend to learn from your mistakes. थोड़ा भी इधर उधर हो जाता है तो this kind of things happen. वो कभी हुआ नहीं था, उसके बाद में भी कभी नहीं हुआ, because we always used to leave on time. So that was the experience.
Interesting. So you almost as in went into a place where एक तो पहली चीज आप ग्लेशियर पे जहाँ पे नो मैन्स लैंड है वो ऑब्वियसली, वहाँ पे भी आप एक ऐसे जगह पे गए विच इज एब्सोल्युटली नो मैन्स लैंड.
Absolutely, it's a ditch. It's like a गड्ढा होता है वो, and then you are falling down and those crevices are bottomless. तो आपको पता नहीं कितने डीप है, कितना भी अंदर जा सकते हैं. And it is really very difficult to even explain what kind of mental setup you go through when you actually go down.
When a normal civilian or a citizen of Bharat, they will hear to this conversation, a lot of them still have this one question, which is, what is Indian Army doing in the glacier, Siachen Glacier?
Right.
Because it's a no man's land. तो हम क्या protect कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे? Why are our men over there? Why is Indian Army in the Siachen Glacier? So if you could explain this.
What happened was when India got free and when line of control was demarcated, entire पूरे जो when गिलगित बाल्टिस्तान और उसके बीच में जो line of control, हालांकि it is part of our India only, even the so called non आज़ाद कश्मीर भी जो है, they call it Azad Kashmir, for us it's a non-freed Kashmir, so that part is also part of India. But when LC was line of control, when it was demarcated, there was some portion which was between NJ beyond NJ 9842. It was not demarcated as such.
NJ 9842 is a
point. Is a point.
Okay.
Is a point जिस जहाँ तक line of control exist करती है. एंड वहाँ से लेके फिर देन डायरेक्टली जहाँ पे लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल शुरू होती है, उसके बीच वाला जो इलाका है, दैट वाज नॉट डिमार्केटेड. एंड व्हाट स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग बाय द लेट 70s एंड ऑल, Pakistan started its own things of sending mountaineering expeditions in that place, because that place is aligned with lot of 8,000 beyond 8,000 जो जितने peaks है. तो from actually if you see from Siachen Glacier, K2, that is Godwin Austen, which is the second highest peak in the world, is just 37 kilometers from there. So there is hardly any distance. So they started doing expeditions in that area, and we said, means our intelligence reports came in, and there was Colonel Narendra who was actually sent, who was called as Bull. So he was sent to do the recce of that particular entire place, and they understood that Pakistan's presence has started increasing in this particular piece of land, and if they get access to this entire glacier, then obviously they will be getting an access like beyond Khardungla. Everything will be captured by Pakistani side, and eventually they will start coming towards Leh and Ladakh, and likewise the entire NH1 and everything would have got occupied by them.
Right.
So what happened in 1984, we preempted that, and we went ahead with bare minimum resources, with sheer guts and glory. That place was occupied in 1984 under the aegis of Operation Meghdut, which was launched in 1984 and which is still going on, and it is the operation which is still ongoing. And I was lucky enough that I was part of it, having served in Siachen, but that was the main backdrop of it. So we have preempted that. Siachen Glacier, which is the origin of Nubra River, and which is very very crucial for us as far as our water riverines of India are concerned. Even though Nubra goes ahead, it gets mixed with Shok River, and then eventually they go and get mixed with the Indus River, and eventually it flows into Pakistan. But jitna bhi hai, we would have lost, if we would have lost that, we would have lost a major water resource, we would have lost a major piece of land which ideally should have been ours. And बियॉन्ड उसके अलावा भी जो उसके ऊपर जो है गिलगित बाल्टिस्तान वाला इलाका जो है, which is POK, Pak occupied Kashmir,
Right.
that is also part of India in first place. So we couldn't have afforded to lose out on that as well. So 1984, a lot of people, and the very first unit which launched that was for Kumaon. And if we happen to have gone through that literature, there is a lot of information which is available on the internet, and a lot of books which are written beyond NJ 9842 specifically is naam ka book hai.
Okay.
I would really insist, if people are really interested in knowing it, they should read this book. And it's a very very interesting book, and you would realize that abhi to it is given topmost priority, and Siachen gets everything which is the best. All the Siachen warriors, people who are serving over there, they are getting the best of the gear, they are getting the best of the administrative services as possible now. But back in 1984, it was sheer guts, sheer bravery of those people. उन्होंने literally means on their DMS shoes they tied दैट चेन वाला जो होता है ना, जो हमें जो फेंसिंग की जो चेन होती है, जो तार होती है, वो बांध के लोग ऊपर चढ़े थे. एंड एक्चुअली दिस थिंग हैपेंड बिकॉज इट वाज वहाँ पे क्रैम्पॉन्स वगैरह, तब तो वो टेक्निक थी ही नहीं, हमें पता ही नहीं था क्रैम्पॉन्स वगैरह भी एग्जिस्ट करते. दिस पीपल डिड दैट, एंड दिस वेंट दिस सैट एट सच हाइट्स, एंड दे फॉट battle, a full-fledged battle with our adversaries at that height, in that kind of atmosphere, in that kind of climate. It's tremendous. I mean, I cannot even imagine, forget about staying over there. I cannot even imagine, battling over there, or getting into a serious battle at that altitude. So it's really hats off to those people who have actually done it, who've done that thing possible for us. And today we see Siachen got occupied by us, and that's the reason we are protecting it. That's the reason we are spending crores and crores of rupee on a daily basis, just because of that reason. Because if we lose out on that, if we ऐसा होता है ना कि यार अगर आपका कंपाउंड है, सपोज योर नेबर इज़ फाइटिंग, या नहीं यार आपका ये कंपाउंड ना हटा लो, हमें यहाँ पे ये बनाना है, रोड वगैरह बनाना है, जो भी बनाना है, एंड हम वो अगर कर देंगे तो कल जाके वो और फिर अंदर की भी चीज़ें मांग लेगा, फिर और अंदर आएगा, फिर चीज़ें ना ऐसे रहेगा कि एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम देयर वोंट बी एनी कंपाउंड लेफ्ट, देयर वोंट बी एनी बफर लेफ्ट, आपका घर ही बाहर आ जाएगा, रास्ते पे आ जाएगा. So you have to have those kind of, and
Right.
we are leaders, are visionaries, are generals who have commanded the, who have taken the, Indian army, who have been chiefs of Indian army. They had this kind of vision, and that's the reason we are protecting it in today's date.
राइट आई थिंक सो बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा एक चंक ऑफ वाटर जो हमारा सोर्स है
Yeah,
वो ही चला जाता है एंड वो जियोपॉलिटिकली इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
very important, very important.
Got it. Have you ever come across the enemy over there?
We did, there was one incident which had happened, and at that height, and I happened to have interacted with them from a distance, of course. It was ईद थी, जून की बात है, ईद हुई थी. And unfortunately, because of whatever reasons I don't know, their FRP took, FRP जहाँ पे जो shelter था उनका, उसमें आग लग गई थी. It was burning. It was like burning like anything in the night. I was not there. I was in the headquarter. मेरा जो complex का headquarter था, I was there. Front में, front post में मेरा जो junior था, my 2IC, तो he called me and he said कि sir ऐसा ऐसा हुआ, सामने आग लगी है बहुत बड़ी. And I don't know, but कुछ अभी कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. And it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the night, 3 a.m. तब की बात है. They said कि wait, don't do anything, just keep on an observational this thing, and कुछ करना मत. And some people might find help them, or इंसानियत के नाते कुछ हेल्प कर देंगे, कंबल वगैरह दे देंगे या कुछ खाने के लिए वगैरह and all that. I said कि don't do anything, let me come and let me see and let me brief my higher hierarchy. So I briefed my higher hierarchy. I spoke to my commanding officer, ऐसा ऐसा हुआ है वगैरह, and they said कि fine, if you feel on a humanitarian grounds, if you want to help, you can. And then I went early in the morning. I left around 4:30, 5 o'clock. I left. I reached there around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I reached, and it was quite normal. Means दिख रहा था, and it was hardly 350, 400 feet पे थे, मीटर पे थे वो. तो आई सेड कि सब एकदम हताश होके, देयर वर हार्डली 4 to 5 ऑफ देम. दे केम, दे वर सिटिंग कंबल वगैरह ओढ़ के, एंड दे डू नॉट इवन, आई द I cannot say, or I would really, I felt bad because none of them had as good gear as we have. There was no leadership which was on ground. All were soldiers. And then what I did was I just ishara se I just told them that I'll give you a box, and I'll थोड़ा नज़दीक जाके I myself spoke. I said कि I will give you a box of food, and if you want कुछ कंबल वगैरह चाहिए तो, otherwise because we have got वो सरकारी वाले कंबल होते हैं वो वाले, और सरकारी स्लीपिंग बैग्स होते हैं. तो स्पेयर तो कुछ था नहीं मेरे को करने के लिए, बट स्टिल आई फेल्ट कि थोड़ा बहुत. Then they said कि that fine, means I did not go as close, but me along with my two of my soldiers, I went ahead. वहाँ पे हमने वो बॉक्स रखा. I said कि then we came back, then they came, they took it, they went back. And I really felt bad that none of their officers or JCOs were there. They were all soldiers, and they were really in a very
Did they say anything to you?
they did not. They did not. They just said दूर से ही शुक्रिया. They said thank you, and that's it. I mean, I just said कि because I can actually see that सब कुछ उनका ये हो गया, and they were sitting outside, waiting for someone to come, or waiting for someone to just relieve them or do something of that sort. And I don't know. I did not ask too many questions. I do not even wanted to get into that mode कि मैं बहुत empathetic हो जाऊँ, sympathetic हो जाऊँ. I do not wanted to do that. Just on the humanitarian ground, I feel कि चलो ठीक है, I can at least I can give some chocolate bars and some Maggie and some थोड़े juice के packets वगैरह जो थे extra के मेरे पास. I just went ahead and I just kept them, and I came back. Purely and purely out of humanitarian, just being a human, nothing else. And then because see, गुस्सा तब आता है when you know they do what kind of things they do. When I served in the other sector of J&K, गुस्सा आता है definitely, there is no doubt about it. But then at such point of time, you have to understand that they are also human beings. They are not forced to do that. They are doing it for their country, their government, whatever. And as a human being, I just helped them to that extent. Otherwise there was nothing more to it. That's what. And that's what I felt. So वहाँ पे मैंने देखी थी उनकी हालत बहुत ही खस्ता थी. Poor management, and very they are in a very poor state of affairs, I would say.
I got to understand one thing when you previously said कि वहाँ जाने के बाद में you get spiritually awakened
Yeah.
and philosophy भी समझ में आती है आपको life की. And now when you say this, I actually get to know some aspect of that, what it could be. I really want to double down on this. What exactly happened? मतलब क्या सीखा आपने life के बारे में in general over there? What were those spiritual aspects, those philosophical aspects that you learned in Siachen Glacier?
Right. Siachen में when you interact with your soldiers and you interact with your senior JSUs as well, firstly you get to understand what human values are actually. It's not always about the professional aspect of it. Yes, of course I'm there. It's our job. We are performing our duties over there without any hesitation, without any kind of doubt that without any kind of cribbing as well. कि हम यहाँ पे क्यों है? We have volunteered for it. And Indian Army is such an institute or such a organization जहाँ पे it's a voluntary force. Nobody has forced us to join the armed forces. It is all voluntary. So we have joined with our own choice. It's our choice to serve there, and it's our choice that if we are serving in that place, such a treacherous place like Siachen, so it's our choice, of course. But when we are there, actually when we are there, you tend to have a lot of thoughts in your mind कि मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Why am I doing this? और sometimes you feel कि यार it's so much of cold. सच में बहुत ज़्यादा ठंड है. और
What was the temperature जब आप वहाँ पे थे? The maximum जो आपने
the minimum which I have
minimum,
seen is
yeah.
around -69, -70, which I've seen.
Yeah.
So you tend to question yourself: is it a right decision? Especially in the initial part of it. And once you start staying over there, you get to understand the human characteristics actually, because you get to know what your soldiers are capable enough of. You get to know how much your body is capable enough of, how much you can rely on your subordinates, and how much trust they have in you. So at one point of time you feel that जो भी हो रहा है आजू बाजू में जो भी चल रहा है it is you get it done with the flow. But when I speak of spiritual awakening, when I speak of philosophical awakening, you know this is the moment, this is the only moment which you are in right now.
You're in the present.
You are in the present. This is the moment. You cannot think about what has happened in the past, what will happen in the future. This is the moment. You have to enjoy this moment. And if you are there, everything means whatever happened when I fell into the crevice, or so many incidents which have happened with me in my career, wherein after that I always feel भाई ये सब bonus है, इसके आगे का bonus ही है. It's that means इतना सब कुछ होके भी if I am there, if I am like talking to you right now, sitting in your studio, भाई bonus है. And I will always be thankful to my gods. I'll always be thankful to people who have helped me to do that. And you definitely achieve a pedestal of being so humble and so grateful and so respectful for everything around you. You tend to be that way because so many things have happened since your childhood, and so many people have pushed you into that direction. So many people have been helpful for you to achieve your dream. Like serving in Siachen was definitely a childhood dream for me. And when it came true, when I was serving over there, and there were so many people who are working relentlessly to make that command of mine of that particular complex a success and not a failure. So many people were working for it. Each and every post में जो उस post का जो senior most होता था, he used to make sure, he used to give me report each and every day, in the morning, in the evening, making sure that people below him are working. They had that trust in me कि नहीं साहब ने बोला है तो ये करना पड़ेगा, ये करना है, because even I was following a certain hierarchy, but over there it is all your command, and it's on you, up to you and about you. तुम जो बोलोगे वो चीज़ उनको माननी है, because that is how the structure of the organization is. But they did that without questioning it. They had that input. So उस इतनी वर्स्ट ऑफ द वर्स्ट कंडीशंस में जो आपको कोऑपरेट कर रहे हैं आपके साथ, एंड दोज हु आर नोवेयर रिलेटेड टू यू, सॉरी, nowhere related to you, आपका कोई लेना देना नहीं लगते वो, दे आर जस्ट देयर डूइंग देयर ओन जॉब. एंड दे आर नॉट कि हाँ आपके जैसे आप बिजनेस ओन करते हो और आपके एम्प्लॉयज़ हो, वैसा भी नहीं है. इट्स प्योरली फीलिंग ऑफ दे एक्सेप्टिंग मी एज देयर लीडर, दे एक्सेप्टिंग मी एज देयर कमांडर, एंड मी टेलिंग देम, गिविंग देम ऑर्डर्स, एंड दे आर रिलेंटलेसली विदाउट एनी डाउट दे आर फॉलोइंग इट. सो एक वो एस्पेक्ट हो जाता है जहाँ पे यू यार I mean, कैसे हो सकता है? I mean, if you ask yourself, of course I am qualified. I am given commission by the President of India. That's the reason I am serving over there. I have worked hard for it. But at the same time, it is about you, your individuality. but what about those people, what they have perception about you? And moreover, we become an officer not to command them, we become officer in order to be there for them. We are not there, they are not there for us, we are there for them. That is the very important aspect one has to understand from the very first day of their service, which was definitely imbibed into me by my seniors, of course. I come from a very very completely civilian background. मेरा कोई फौज में वगैरह नॉट, इधर माय पेरेंट्स वर देयर, दूर दूर तक कोई नहीं, मेरे नाना जी थे किसी ज़माने में,
About whom we'll talk in some
yeah. But other than that, nobody was there. So everything and everything what is happening is for the first time. And I was lucky enough that my seniors were so strong in their approach towards me. They were very very helpful. At the same time, they were very very strict, and they were all ideally and principle oriented, fundamental oriented people. That कि कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो आपको principally follow करनी ही है life में. So they taught me so many things. So those things, and then उसके भी ऊपर जाके वो कोऑपरेशन वाली बात हो गई, उसके भी ऊपर आके समटाइम्स आई यूज्ड टू कम ऑन माय हेलीपैड एंड यूज्ड टू सिट इन साइलेंस and used to look around the structures which are formed over thousands and lakhs of years, and how nature itself teaches you so many things. And it's not from the poetic perspective I'm saying, it actually teaches you so many things. Like यहाँ पे suddenly एक crevice form हो रही है, and so much of snow around, there is so cold, but at the same time there are some animals which are still surviving over there. I happen to have seen the bears. There are like big size bears over there. Then there are these wolves, there are foxes, white foxes, there are vultures, big vultures which are there. Then happen to have seen a glimpse of the this leopard, snow leopard. And it seems very very magical if you sit silently, and if you have got little bit of poetic bend or little bit of philosophical bend, you get to understand कि यार ये तो it's really so magical. And I'm really lucky, like one of those opportune lucky ones, chosen ones, that I happen to be there, and on a very very individual basis. Because दुकान लोगों को दिखाने के लिए तो तुम कमांडर हो, वहाँ पे तुम कमांड कर रहे हो, तुमको हमारा डेली बेसिस का ये काम है, वो काम है, ऐसे करना है, वैसे करना है. Apart from that, as an individual, if I'm sitting there as a child, the child in me who is sitting over there, we obviously see around, यार कितना means there is, it's like so magical. Like avalanches आ रहे हैं and you get to witness those avalanches. वो गिर रहा है ऊपर से snow इतना सारा, and then everything is getting फिर शाम हो रही है. शाम के वक्त the if it's a moonlit night, the entire glacier actually reflects. ऐसे लगता ही नहीं कि रात है. चांदनी रात का रियल मीनिंग यू गेट टू लर्न ओवर देयर, यू गेट टू सी ओवर देयर, विटनेस ओवर देयर, बिकॉज स्नो रिफ्लेक्ट्स द एंटायर मून लाइट, एंड इट इज सो वाइट एंड इट इज सो प्लेजेंट. I mean, that is the most beautiful thing I would have ever seen in my life. Most beautiful thing. Like in the night, I was like around 1-1:30 बजे का टाइम था, and we were getting ready and all for our link and everything. I saw, and when you उसमें ना आप चलते हो उस रात में अराउंड 2-2:30-3 बजे वगैरह, द मून व्हेन इफ इट्स अ फुल मून नाइट, अराउंड 2-3 बजे जहाँ पे मीन्स होता है चांद, और उस एंगल से जो गिरती है उसकी किरणें वगैरह सब तरफ, एंड देर आर सो मैनी थिंग्स, स्नो, देन देर आर हाइट्स, देन यू गेट टू सी ठंड, हवा नहीं होती है उस वक्त, रात के वक्त एकदम बिल्कुल कोई हवा नहीं होती है. इट्स वेरी वेरी साइलेंट, very silent, and you're walking, and it's just the sound of that snow which is getting pressed below your shoes, and that's it, nothing else. And you get to see so many beautiful things. Light, the sky is full of stars, sky is full of moon, and it's so magical, it's beautiful.
In a way, it's a bit sad that one of the world's most romantic place is a no man's land.
And it's a war zone.
Yeah,
it's an
exactly.
active war zone. Yeah.
Philosophically and spiritually, it's a amazing situation. I really want to double down on this because I'm having, I'm enjoying this conversation about the Siachen.
Right.
Any glacier नहीं, actually any avalanche वाला moment that you have seen in front of your eyes कि avalanche आ रहा है?
We were, but अभी ऐसा हुआ ना, people have become so aware वहाँ पे, तो we do not generally keep anything in the, we know we have picked the sites, we have identified those sites जहाँ पे avalanches frequently आते हैं, and avalanches आते भी है तो nobody is part of it. No,
Okay.
we witness it. I have seen a lot of them, a lot of avalanches
What really
coming in.
happens when the avalanche comes?
What happens is it is triggered by the temperatures generally. अगर temperature बढ़ रहा है तो the snow melts, and obviously if the snow melts then कहीं ना कहीं से वो snow गिर जाती है from heights, और गिरने लगती है तो फिर it comes down with the entire snow, और बहुत सारा फिर snow उसके साथ snow होता है, ice होता है, वो पूरा बह जाता है उसके साथ. So it happens. It's very very natural phenomenon which occurs. But what I witnessed over there was the when we say impact of global warming, so that has actually been been very very true, because मैंने जो वहाँ पे कुछ lot of walls were there, ice walls were there, and I saw a lot of walls getting diminished within one season. आई मीन वो वॉल्स मुझे नहीं लगता कि आज के बने हुए, अब 20 साल 30 साल पहले बने हुए, मस्ट हैव बीन फॉर्म लाइक फ्रॉम थाउजेंड्स एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ईयर्स, बट वो मैंने मेरे सामने आंखों के सामने गिरते हुए देखे, एंड जस्ट गेटिंग डिमिनिश्ड. So that is very very alarming, I would say, and I have even on my Instagram I have put that video, one of those videos. It actually has, I was actually showing it. So yeah, I witnessed a lot of those things, but हाँ, avalanches का वगैरह यही होता है जनरली.
Okay. एनिमल्स के साथ में कभी मतलब हैव यू कम वेरी क्लोज टू द वाइल्ड एनिमल्स जो वहाँ पे है, जैसे आप कह रहे थे कि बेयर्स है, फॉक्स है वहाँ पे, हैव यू एवर कम अक्रॉस, मतलब बहुत ही ज़्यादा क्लोज एनकाउंटर हुआ हो?
नहीं, दे जनरली डोंट कम क्लोज टू अस, बिकॉज वी वर ऑन हाइट, एंड अगर कोई जा रहा है या ग्लेशियर के ऊपर से जा रहा है या ऐसे, तो दूर से हम देखते थे.
ओके.
नज़दीक व्हेन वी वर इनसाइड इन द नाइट टाइम, एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी जस्ट हैपन टू हैव the snow leopard would have come into the periphery of where we used to stay, maybe because for the
Snow
food
leopards are
reasons,
rare, like
वेरी वेरी रेयर. मैं हमने उसके पॉज देखे थे, और उसको मैंने एक दिन शाम के वक्त आई जस्ट सॉ ग्लिम्स ऑफ इट, बिकॉज ही वाज ऑन अ हाइट, और वो वहाँ पे खड़ा था इन द, इट वाज ट्वाइलाइट, तो ऑलमोस्ट अंधेरा होने वाला था, उससे पहले का थोड़ा बहुत जो लाइट होता है, मी आई हैपन टू हैव विटनेस्ड इट, दैट्स इट.
wow.
बाकी तो आई हैव नॉट.
So I was telling you, right? I'm a travel photographer, and my team, they are like into wildlife photography.
Right.
It's been a dream since ages to capture snow leopard.
आई नो. बट वही उतना दूर से ही देखा था, because हम अभी आई वाज नॉट कैरिंग, और उस वक्त बायनोकुलर नहीं था मेरे पास, बट वी मेड आउट, मीन्स उतना क्लियरली, बट मस्ट हैव बीन अ डिस्टेंस ऑफ 350 400 या 500 मीटर्स का, बट वी कुड मेक आउट दैट इट्स देयर, एंड वो हाइट पे था थोड़ा सा, देन इट वैनिश्ड. सो उतना ही मैंने देखा, ज़्यादा देखा नहीं. आई रियली वांटेड टू
Bears?
बेयर्स. हाँ, बेयर्स तो वहाँ पे दिख जाते हैं जनरली, मीन्स इवन इन द बेस कैंप, और जनरली व्हेन यू आर इन लेह लद्दाख वगैरह साइड में, तो वहाँ पे सिक्किम में आई हैपन टू हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ देम, लॉट ऑफ बेयर्स, बिकॉज सिक्किम, इट इज़ वेयर आई वाज, इट वाज दैट प्लेस वाज अलाइंड विद भूटान.
Okay.
तो भूटानी साइड में तो बहुत ज़्यादा मीन्स वो रेड पांडास भी होते हैं वहाँ पे ना, जो ये, एंड हैपन टू हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ देम. बेयर तो वहाँ पे वो हम कुछ खाना वगैरह बनाते थे, अगर उसमें नॉनवेज वगैरह कुछ बना हुआ है रात में, एंड व्हेन यू यूज्ड टू डंप इट इन आर द पिट जो बनता है वहाँ पे आ जाते थे वो, बट वी मेड श्योर दैट इट इज़ नॉट कमिंग इनसाइड, वो फेंस वगैरह बना देते हैं, एंड इट्स वी को एग्जिस्ट करते हैं वहाँ पे, तो वी हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट देयर टेरिटरी, दे डोंट रियली कम क्लोज टू अस, वी कैन नॉट क्रॉस देम, वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड.
It's such an interesting place, as in there it's the Indian army is over there, there's nature all around you, there's the wildlife, and you're all coexisting over there and trying to figure out ki what is the purpose of life then over there.
Exactly. No, animals know their purpose of life.
Yeah.
Nature knows its course of.
It's just the humans.
It's just the humans, because we are thinking animals. So when we tend to have that thought process, maybe even think animals would be thinking on those grounds. I mean, I don't know, I cannot read their minds, but yeah, हम obviously हम सोचते हैं, हम हमेशा सोचते हैं. We always have this thing of thinking and reasoning and putting logic to everything around us.
Yeah. Have you this might be little darker question, but have you witnessed death over there?
I have rescued. I happen to have rescued 7 people, means not in one go,
Okay.
but 2-3 in one go, then एक दो फिर एक करके वगैरह. I have tried saving them.
These were men from
My men, and from maybe from this neighboring unit or something. I happen to have done that rescue, but death as such I have not witnessed it. I have witnessed it in my other posting, but not in Siachen per se.
Okay. So, what is the your perspective as someone in the uniform? What is your perspective on death? Because you are someone who is like in very close contact with death. कि मतलब एक moment there is life and the another moment there is death. So, what is your perspective about that?
When I think of it, it is a very very terrible thing. Means I don't know. Means people say कि when sitting ऐसे ना आराम से वगैरह, when I think of it from a very neutral perspective, that you say कि हाँ it's the ultimate truth. You know, death is the ultimate truth and that is inevitable. It is bound to take place. But अभी नहीं चाहिए. Right.
Delay हो
It
जाए.
is वो not today. If वो Game of Thrones वाला जो philosophy, not today. If death comes to me, not today. बाकी कभी भी हो लेकिन आज नहीं चाहिए. That is the kind of thing. And we always tend to say that. In armed forces, we always tend to, when we are actually on ground, when we are going through various things which are happening like operations or whatever. So उस वक्त आपके दिमाग में ये रहता है कि यार आज नहीं यार, आज तो I have to be cautious. And for people around me and for me, I have to be cautious. Not today. That's the only thought which comes.
Okay.
And you are always scared of it. You are always that thing is always there at the back of your mind, but you don't let it occupy your other thoughts. Your other thoughts are more imminent. They are and that's the reason training comes into picture. We are trained in such a way that we, in spite of getting scared, in spite of being in that situation, those thoughts should not overcome the other thoughts which are practically going on. Like if I'm into an operation and if I'm sitting in an ambush or if I'm going on a patrol and the contact is imminent or something of that sort which is happening, you tend to understand that so many things which are happening, you should not let this thought overcome other thoughts. Your logistical applications, your operational applications, your tactical applications in that particular operations, those thoughts are the prominent thoughts. These thoughts, of course, because under pressure you tend to work, and under more pressure we are trained to work under a lot of pressure, and our training is designed in such a way that we tend to work under a lot of pressure, and that's the basic criteria for us getting selected as well, that our tendencies to work under pressure, how it is. And if we are doing quite well there, then only we get selected, and then based on that our training is designed in such a way. So I look at this thing in a very very pragmatic way. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't quote it, I wouldn't sugarcoat it. I wouldn't even say ki I'm not scared of it. Definitely I'm scared of it. Definitely I'm scared for somebody who is under my command dying. I don't want that at all. Not from his perspective or my perspective, from the entirety of that organization's perspective, entirety of my unit's perspective. I don't want that. मेरे unit पे आँच नहीं आनी चाहिए. That is something which is instilled into us at any cost. इज्जत डाउन नहीं होनी चाहिए, खुद की इज्जत नहीं डाउन होनी चाहिए, खुद की यूनिट की इज्जत डाउन नहीं होनी चाहिए, खुद की इज्जत डाउन नहीं होनी चाहिए. और ऐसी हरकतें जब होती है तो डेफिनेटली नो, इट इज़ नो मैटर हाउ व्हाट पीपल वुड परसीव इट, आई वुड तो टेक इट कि यार मेरी गलती है एंड मेरी गलती की वजह से यूनिट की इज्जत डाउन हो गई, या उस मेरे कंपनी की इज्जत डाउन हो गई, या मेरे पलटन की इज्जत डाउन हो गई, उस टाइप में. आई डोंट वांट दैट. Those thoughts are very very prominent. So for that reason you have to apply yourself operationally on a technical basis. And as I said, I was discussing with you earlier, it's all mathematics. It's everything is mathematically put in place. It has got a proper design. The training which is imparted to us, the kind of steps we take, the kind of weapon training which we have got, everything is very very technical in nature, and we have to understand that. We have to apply yourself, and your main applications come under pressure. That's for that we are trained. Even our boys are trained that way. So obviously you tend to not let that thought occupy all of your thought. That is more important, and that's how I look at it. But when I sit in unison and उससे दूर बैठा हुआ हूँ, और when I'm like completely alone, there is no pressure over me, there is nothing which I am going to do, that time the philosophical aspect and जब पूरी philosophy तब आ जाती है दिमाग में, ये क्या है कैसा है वगैरह. But when you are actually doing that, that is not the time when that philosophy should enter your mind. That is the time when you have to apply your training. That is important. So you have to segregate those things. You have to have that compartmentalized perspective towards life. And that's what I believe that is one of the fortes of the officers or the soldiers from especially from any kind of army, because that's what we are trained for. एक चीज़ हो रही है, उसमें अंदर आप वो करो, वर्कआउट करो, बाकी सब चीज़ें कंपार्टमेंटलाइज आपकी रख दो करके. and then you tend to have this kind of, so you have got that segregated perspective towards everything.
Right.
इस चीज़ को ये प्रायोरिटी देनी है तो ये प्रायोरिटी से ये चीज़ कर लो, वो प्रायोरिटी बाद में है तो वो प्रायोरिटी की, तो प्रायोरिटाइजिंग, compartmentalizing, this is how I am trained at least, and most of the people follow this kind of philosophy in armed forces, and that's the reason veterans have got a lot of perspective. They've got a lot of demand outside in the civil streamlines as well, civilian streams as well. That's the reason, because we can streamline. It's our forte, and that's how we are trained. I'm not saying that we are very strong at it. We are trained in that way that we are supposed to do this. So that's the reason.
Got it.
Yep.
Let's come Siachen से थोड़ा नीचे. Your other posting in J&K. I want to talk about आपने ambush की बात कही, and I really want to have this perspective for myself as well, and for the people who are listening or watching to this podcast. As civilians, we don't really understand what is happening in those ambushes. मतलब videos हमें दिखाई देते हैं कि army and the terrorists बोल लीजिए या whatever you want to call them, एक encounter चालू है. But what is really happening over there? What is your mindset like? What is their mindset like? And if you have ever come across any terrorist in person, what is that whole scenario like?
See, there are two scenarios वहाँ पे. There are operations which are conducted into the hinterland, which is way into the hinterland there, where mainly the operations are are launched in order to eliminate the anti-national elements, specifically terrorists. So those things happen in the hinterland. Like if you speak about the valley, J&K Valley, or a lot of places in the northern sector, वहाँ पे where I was, it was line of control. So line of control में the major operations which take place are basically in order to destroy or fail the infiltration bid of the adversaries, whomsoever it is, maybe civilians, maybe anti-national elements which are coming in, or anyone. तो वो bids रोकने के लिए एक तो operations launch होते हैं when we get the intelligence as such. दूसरा होता है कि ambush होते हैं. Ambush में we tend to go near line of control, observe the enemy movement, and come back with the kind of information which we are supposed to, which is required for various operations. तीसरा होता है पेट्रोल्स होती है when we walk, we'll take a tactical walk near the line of control and collect the information, and there are long range patrols also. We do that and we come back with certain amount of answers which are asked by the higher hierarchy. We are supposed to provide those answers. So those kind of operations are either led by a JCO or an officer. Mostly an officer, a young officer, or someone who is more experienced, or somebody who can take decisions at that point of time. Because sometimes what happens is you come across contacts, you come across situations which are unforeseen. You have to be ready for those kind of things. So these kind of things happen. Ambush में आप एक जगह पे बैठते हो, घात लगा के बैठते हो, और आप ऑब्जर्व करते हो, या तो ऑब्जर्व करते हो या फिर कोई आपको पता होता है, इंटेलिजेंस होती है कि सामने से कोई आने वाला है, इस रास्ते से जंगल की एक पगडंडी से कोई गुजरने वाला है और उसको आपको न्यूट्रलाइज करना है या उसको आपको भगाना है, या जो भी है, जनरली न्यूट्रलाइज ही करते हैं उसको या मार देते हैं बेसिकली. तो दोज काइंड ऑफ ऑपरेशंस जनरली हैपन. सो एम्बुश में होता है, पेट्रोलिंग में आप एक सर्टन रेकी करने जाते हो या कुछ चल के होता है बेसिकली. दोज आर द टू काइंड ऑफ ऑपरेशंस विच वी कंडक्ट ऑन LC. एंड जनरली होता है कि कभी कोई अंदर घुसा है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद भी अंदर कोई घुसा है, तो उसका सर्च ऑपरेशन होता है. उसको सर्च एंड डिस्ट्रॉय ऑपरेशंस बोलते हैं, वो भी होता है. There are various kind of operations which take place on line of control.
Okay, so let's double down on this as well, क्योंकि and I'm not trying to have this conversation just to exaggerate anything, but this is genuine curiosity. So while you are in the army, you obviously have to protect the borders, you have to protect the country, and for that you are trained to kill. When the situation arises and you have to kill someone, what is that zone like? What is happening inside your mind and inside your heart? Are there any thoughts? If you could talk about that.
Well, I will selectively talk about it, honestly speaking.
I understand.
Yes, what happens at the back of our mind is, first and foremost thing is, I do not want any injury or any kind of casualty onto my side. because if you see on a very serious note, life of a terrorist is merely 2 3 साल 4 साल 5 साल maximum. If he's a well established terrorist as well, if he's well trained, tomorrow you or somebody else is going to kill that person. He knows that. If he surrenders, till the time he surrenders, if he surrenders, then there is a different procedure which is followed altogether. I do not want to get into it. And if he's not, if he's supposed to get neutralized, if he's supposed to get killed, he knows that he's going to get killed, and his life is not worth even a slightest of the injury of any of the soldiers under my command or at any point of time. That is the basic philosophy. So what happens in these kind of scenarios when you're doing an operation, when you know for sure that something is going to happen and these things are there, so you generally you follow your basic SOP, standard operating procedure, which is there, and if that person falls in the gambit of that SOP, if that person falls in the gambit of your area of influence or area of interest where you are, so definitely if need be, that person gets killed. And there is no conscious or anything which is there goes on inside your mind. We look at it as something of a project or an operation which is there, which we are supposed to conduct. In that, if that person gets killed, and if it's there to kill that person, definitely it has to be that way.
Yeah.
There is not too much of a thought behind it. There is not too much of a philosophy or so-called thoughts which are actually shown glamorized and all. Nothing of that sort happens.
Right.
It's all basically to be cautious. भाई ज़्यादा मीन्स आप when you आप पटाखा जलाते हो तो पटाखा जलना भी है, उसका लुफ्त भी उठाना है, and at the same time you have to be very very conscious about it. You cannot let your hands get burnt in that bargain of getting that pleasure of firing that crack. यहाँ पे there is no factor of pleasure definitely, but there is always a factor of not getting your hands burned while busting that cracker. So that's the basic philosophy, nothing else.
Right. Although we are going to talk about this one specific subject in some time, but still, because we are on this subject about having those close encounters and having to kill someone else, जब आप civilian life में आते, obviously all of these skills come with you because you are a human. You cannot just unlearn instantly. So जब आप civilian life में आते, हो सकता है कि you are in a situation where road rage हो गया है, someone has come into your contact. Do these skills involuntarily, जो भी word है, it comes out when even if you don't want to, because the situation is like that.
No, it doesn't happen that way because we have to be conscious about it, and as we would be speaking about it later also, we need to be that conscious. We need to be aware about ourselves. ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई आया है और कोई आपको ऐसे मार रहा है तो आप सुन के लोगे. No, you won't. Obviously, you will apply those skills there, but generally you tend to avoid those kind of situations.
Yeah.
Even if somebody has dashed into my car, if I have dashed into somebody's car, definitely I will get out and I'll ask, भाई तू पहले तो ठीक है ना. अगर उसने मेरे पे भी, if he has come, if there is a bike or if I am driving my car, some bike has come and hit me or anything that has happened, that's the basic thing. मैं बाहर निकल के that is completely your own personal individual nature. अब मैं बाहर निकल के सबसे पहले पूछूंगा कि भाई गाड़ी वगैरह तो रहने, तू तो ठीक है पहले, आप तो ठीक हो पहले. That is important. That is your basic humanity. That is, it has got nothing to do with me being from army or anything of that sort. वो तो basic संस्कार है जो मेरे माँ बाप ने मेरे को दिए. So if somebody dashed into my car, मैं तो पहले यार पूछूंगा उसको कि भाई तू ठीक है, because वो तो माँ बाप के संस्कार दिए हुए, वो तो आपके basic. It has got nothing to do with me being from armed forces. तो basic संस्कार होते हैं वो इंसान के, basic आपकी ideology होती है, तो वो तो मैं पूछूंगा. But if that person is like कि नहीं, why you're doing this, that वगैरह, I'll still try to apologize to that person, try to pacify it. नहीं हो रहा है तो definitely I have to apply my skills, but generally I tend to avoid this kind of situations at any point of time. It's not really very healthy to be that way.
Okay.
And I don't feel, I'm a very peace-loving person. I don't like this kind of things.
Yeah. This is something which I actually wanted to know. Like, obviously you have a life in the army, and that's a very different life from the life that you're living as a civilian. So it's important for both the sides to understand each other's philosophy, each other's nature. One last thing that I want to ask you in this particular podcast, which is about Siachen. What do you miss about Siachen now that you are back in the city? Is there any specific thing?
What I miss about Siachen is Thand, definitely. I'm a person who was really very. I come from a very tropical kind of weather. Aurangabad is sorry, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar now. Sorry, so that place I come from, and it is very warm place generally throughout the year. And winters भी होते तो normally winters होते just like Pune. So I was really scared of getting into cold and fortunately, unfortunately, I happened to have got posted in Sikkim and Siachen, both places, which are very very cold, high altitude areas. So definitely, और पहाड़ मिस करता हूँ बहुत ज़्यादा मैं वहाँ के, and the kind of culture which these places have, it's tremendous. It's very very philosophical, and you yourself being a traveler, you must be knowing कि कितना pure culture है वहाँ का, and कितने लोग कितने normal simple लोग हैं. I definitely miss that thing about those places.
I have a dream कि मतलब after retirement someday I just want to shift to the mountains and live over there. But then I said this was the last thing that I would ask. But then again, one last thing. For anyone who is going to the higher altitude wale places, basic survival tips for them over there, because you being from the Indian Army, you were trained in these situations, so you are the best person who can tell them कि ये चीजें करो, ये चीजें मत करो. So if any tips for them.
See, there is no point in me telling that because most of them have got a very very limited monetary this thing. Most of them, not all, but most of them have got very limited monetary resources. और वहाँ पे जाके फिर वहाँ पे acclimatize करना is not something which everybody can afford. Like वहाँ पे basically acclimatization होना चाहिए 5 से 6 दिन का, so that your body becomes normal with the surroundings. Because above 9,000 feet, definitely acclimatization is required. So वो वहाँ पे normal हो जाता है, उसके बाद में you should start going around slowly. But which I'm pretty sure nobody can. But at least what you can do is जब जितना rest मिलता है, पहले दिन आप जाते हो वहाँ पे, take as much rest as possible. After that, slowly start doing activities and दबा के पानी पीते रहो. That is very important. Warm water, cold water, whatever kind of water, keep on drinking lots and lots of water. That's the basic thing. बाकी सब चीज़ें will be taken care of by your travel agency and all those people.
Right.
That's what.
So if you have watched this episode till now, drink water. But sir, thank you so much for doing this episode. We are going to record one more episode in which we'll talk about completely different aspects of your life. But then thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.